Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of the Authentic Seller podcast. My name is Stephen Mason, and in this podcast series, I hope to bring you on a journey of the world of B2B sales and personal growth. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you got a chance to check out the first episode, and thank you so much for all the love and the comments and the feedback. I actually got a couple phone calls and text messages that were just super encouraging and just very affirming to basically even providing clear direction of exactly where I want to go with this podcast and the type of conversations I want to have. And so actually, believe it or not, this second episode is being re-recorded. What I had originally planned on discussing is absolutely still going to be talked about on a future episode. But between some of the feedback I was received and really just some conversations I had very recently, it was affirming that there's one particular thing I want to talk about today that really is just a building block to why I'm doing this podcast, right? It's about being able to be really authentic about certain struggles and things that I've dealt with in my sales career and particularly more recently to this past year of my life. And that was experiencing burnout. So today's episode is I'm going to walk you guys sort of through that story, what caused the burnout. It's not quite what, you may think, just, hard work, wasn't necessarily the root cause of it, right? There was something behind that that was sort of driving in the motivators. So what caused my burnout? If you follow me on LinkedIn, you probably saw I posted a couple months ago. Well, I guess back in June, so it was like 4 months ago at this point. That I was just in full burnout mode and that I was going to be taking some time off. I had the opportunity to actually go to a meditation retreat. It was a 7-day retreat in Canada. It was an awesome event. For one, there was no technology allowed. I've never ever in my life career had a vacation or anything like that where I just was completely disengaged from technology across the board, specifically emails and things like that. We all kind of know how, there's this thing about going on vacation. When you come back to work, you're going to be stacked with emails, and it's just, we're going to talk about that on a future episode and how to deal with that. Not that I have all the answers. I just merely want to call it out as a real challenge and problem that we deal with in society today. But that's neither here or there yet. So in that retreat, it allowed me to really regain perspective on a lot of things in my life, and also just begins a healing process as well. But while I was there, it really occurred to me that when I thought that I was on this journey of being a top seller, was all about wanting to be the best, right? Being number one was merely about being the best. So in my entire sales career, if you ever asked me what I was motivated by, it was always about I wanted to be the best, right? And I knew even when I started at my current position 11 years ago now, I was motivated to be the best and determined that one day I was going to do it. And so as you guys, may know my story, last year was my 10th year anniversary at my company. And in that year, 2022, I became the number one top seller. So super cool. Definitely something I'm proud of, no doubt. But in that entire time, I was honestly kind of miserable because being number one wasn't satisfying, me. It wasn't making me necessarily happy. And some days, I guess it was, but really underneath all this desire of wanting to be the best was this need for approval and acceptance. And how that, right? So I want to pause there, the need for approval and acceptance, right? So how did I realize that that's what was behind all that? Well, I'm going to give you a very, very specific and real example. So when it comes to my client relationships and stuff, you know, I have found myself just sort of being hungry for, it's not even about the money or the deal or the contract. It's about wanting this sort of, attaboy or this great job, way to go, Steven, whatever it may be, but just merely needing their approval and acceptance. And, in a lot of ways in my career, I've sort of gotten that. I received that, or I could get that affirmation that, they were pleased with my work. And so that sort of sustains some happiness. But what about when you have a client that doesn't want to give you that, right? That's at the end of the day, it's not their job. They don't contractually have to do that, right? If we provide them services and we fulfill, what we were contracted to do, and they pay us, end of story, right? Like that's called business. And, yeah, and I don't mean, obviously there's room for thank yous, and of course, no doubt. But at the end of the day, you got to have proper perspective in that, there definitely is things that are business matters and there's personal matters, right? But for me, I was just wanting this, approval and acceptance, and I wasn't getting it. My team wasn't getting it, and it's like no matter how hard I tried, it wasn't coming, and I found myself super frustrated, disheartened, unmotivated by that. So even coming out of 2022, just like this, the high of being number one, that kind of stuff motivates me. It really does. It motivates me to keep going. Like, how do I do better this next year? How do I get back to number one? Like that is very much my mentality. And I think that's a great thing. I'm going to talk more about mindset and a lot of those things and disciplines and stuff on podcasts and future episodes. But, I found myself in a situation that being number one, money, success or whatever, none of it was good enough because I wasn't getting the approval and acceptance that I felt like I was deserved. And so that was like a big sigh of relief moment when I realized that, oh, wow, like that's the thing behind the thing, right? So this burnout, I just thought I was overworked, tired, really just had, improper balance and perspective on things. So, that's why. No, it was actually, I was burned out because I wasn't getting that approval and acceptance that I felt like I deserved. And out of that, it was like, I remember that day, it felt like I was lighter on my feet that day that I realized that, because it was like, wow, I have the ability to become aware of this, self-aware, and do something about it. And that is simply by, being able to, love myself, right? Being proud of myself, and not having all my self-worth hang on, these external things. That's a really unhealthy place to be in your life. So, I'm going to move into sort of, three key things that I'm going to pull up here that I want to leave you guys with as sort of very relevant to me and my situation on how I intend to prevent, burnout and that situation happening again. And I'm going to talk a little bit to each of these things. So the first one is having a solid core values list. This was something that I was sort of challenged with to think about. It was definitely sometime within the last year, and I realized it seemed like my number one value in life, outside of maybe being a great father to my children, it was, I just wanted to be successful. I just wanted to be number one. And, that's pretty unhealthy, right? And it has its ways of being very unhealthy, no doubt. And so I was able to really just sort of reflect that and kind of take some time to really write down, what are those core values? What is that compass system that I'm going to now sort of live by and define, my self-worth against and whatnot. So that's a big one that I think, there's probably more people than, we realize that don't sort of have any core values. And then, also prioritizing those core values, right? So what's number one, what's number two, and, what is the order of priority that these things are going to, time of they're going to soak up in your life. Number two, I talked about this a little bit already, is being able to reflect on, or ask yourself, should I say, what is the thing behind the thing, right? Or what is the why behind the why? So if you have these moments of feeling burned out or frustration or, even look at it at positive things like, maybe you feel happy. Well, it's great to feel happy. Don't maybe not overthink that. It's just be happy. But there were moments where I thought I was happy, and if I really could sort of self-analyze and ask, well, why am I actually happy? And it's because, I feel approval and accepted by these external things or people. And I think there's room to say that that's not the most healthy thing. Why? What's the why behind the why, or the thing behind the thing? And the last thing is, this is something that, kind of obvious. I'm not an expert in any of these things, but definitely disciplines that I've really been trying to put in my life. This I would say last 6 months or so. And that's, good sleep habits, good sleep routines. It's really important to get this very consistent sleep. So going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time, and everyone sleeps a little different, needs a certain amount of sleep. For me, that's like 8 hours minimum. And sometimes I would no doubt love more. Nutrition. So, eating properly, eating healthy, good, nutritious foods. Not a nutrition expert, so I'm just going to stop there and say maybe, avoid fast food and the obvious things, of course. And exercise. Honestly, like, exercise has not been something my entire life that I was really ever disciplined at all. I've always wanted to be more fit, no doubt, but I didn't have the discipline or the motivation. I would just say discipline. I don't like to use the word motivation. I think it's overused. I didn't have the discipline and sort of the willpower to go get the work in, to become more fit. And I've definitely found myself, this year being a lot more disciplined, and now finding myself in a more hungry routine of wanting to work out. And what I mean by that is, I don't necessarily wake up and like, gotta go work out, or and maybe it's a night workout or something. I'm like, I'm too tired. No, it's like, I need to get this in, and I want to get this in. I want to feel that return on energy. And that was a big reason why I wanted to get more into exercise and working out and things like that. Was I really just wanted a return on energy, mental and physical. And, working out certainly brings you a lot of mental clarity and focus and just a lot of positive benefits from it. So, not an expert. I am not becoming a personal trainer anytime soon. I don't even have the physical, body to sell myself to be a physical trainer yet. But one day coming soon. You guys just watch out. Be on the lookout. It's happening soon enough. So that's it for my 3 key points today. Just want to kind of summarize, I guess, in a way that, it wasn't, burnout is always caused by a lot of factors. It's, in my opinion, for me, it was multiple things and multiple factors, but the real root one was not getting this approval and acceptance that I felt like I deserved, was entitled to, or whatever it may be. So challenge you guys to maybe really just look inward and think about those things. But, certainly something I still struggle with, no doubt. Obviously, this has a lot to do with what I talked about in my last episode, the ego. I'm going to keep talking about these things in future episodes. I think they're so important. They're kind of at the core of all these challenges and struggles that we deal with. I assure you guys, I'm not going to talk about all maybe difficult or bad things. I definitely want to talk about positive things, positive mindset. I have a lot of stories that I could tell you about that, and a strong believer in those things. If you're going to set a goal, right, that maybe you want to be a number one seller, you need to believe that you're going to be that number one seller. If you don't have the belief that you can do it, it's just not going to happen. But when you can actually believe that it's possible for you and begin to almost like believe that reality is already here, I assure you, you're going to be on a quick path to being number one. So that's it for today's podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And please do, comment and leave any feedback, or definitely would love some ideas for future episodes. That would be very helpful to me, actually. So thank you guys so much for listening in. Have a great day. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you could do me a huge favor, please do like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. This helps us sort of promote it on YouTube and expand the audience. Definitely have a lot of big goals for the podcast. So please do help me out and like and subscribe. Thank you guys.